Hello, it's Sadie. I wanted to come on and do the part 2 of the spiritual talk about entity attachments and clearing them. This is going to focus on the sort of denser, higher level entity attachments that are not as easy to clear, and spell work that can be very, very dark and baneful type of spell work that is not as easy to clear as the things I spoke about in the first part of this series. So the reason why this is coming up, and I'm sorry for the delay, but I had an experience this weekend that was like, oh, I need to do the part 2 of this video. So here we are. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with the thing that my guides always tell me. Everything is energy, okay? And so because everything is energy, everything exists energetically. Whether you can see it or not, whether you can feel it or not, it does exist somewhere, in some realm, some dimension. It has existence, okay? And so when we're talking about energy attachments, in the first video, I talked about, not using things that open the door to inadvertently attaching things to yourself, like being careful and using discernment when using AI, trying to stay away from, if you can, any sort of Ouija boards or spirit boxes or anything that has any type of sigil where you're basically trying to connect to the other side. And the reason why is because there's a lot of things that live in the ethereal realm that are not human. There's a lot of discarnate souls, which means disembodied souls, commonly known as ghosts, and most are not harmful, but there are energies that can be harmful to you and can attach to you and wreak havoc on your life. And so you just want to be very careful what you're connecting with and what you're allowing into your house, into your life, okay? So with that, there are also higher level attachments. These would be your negatively polarized extraterrestrial beings. This video is going to be woo-woo. If you're not into the woo-woo, this is where you turn off this video, okay? Scroll along, not your conversation, not for you. So that would be a lot of reptilian beings, a lot of the grays. There's other negatively oriented extraterrestrial beings that are not demonic, but sort of feed off of energy in the same way. You have your demonic entities and your dark deities as well, and then you have your jinn. That is the most common higher level entity attachments. There are other things, but those would be like the most common that people are going to deal with. Why is this? Certain soul contracts. If you are a certain starseed and you've had a lineage in which there has been soul contracts with any of these beings, they sometimes attach to the bloodline and sometimes will attach to the generational ancestry of your family. And so sometimes this is commonly referred to as ancestral curses or generational curses, but it's a little bit more than that, more involved, more evolved than that, because it's not just something that someone said or did 400 years ago that's carried through. It's an actual entity that continues to try to control and feed off of the energy of the bloodline. And I don't know how much of this I can say on YouTube, so if this video goes down, that's the reason why. It is what it is. I'm gonna say what I think I can say, but again, if you don't see this video, if it's not up for like more than a day, that's the reason why, okay? Jinn are very common. you know, they're often referred to as genies, but it's not like the genie that you have in the movie Aladdin. It's a dark entity that literally feeds off of your life force. And all of these dark entities, how do I want to say this? They all work in a similar way as that they're parasitic in nature because we are of God, right? Human beings with a soul, because not every human walking around has a soul. Different video for a different time. But those of us that have a soul, we have a certain amount of that God energy, that God frequency, that light within us. We are ensouled, we are embodied. And so because of that, that is great power. You may just look at yourself and say, I'm a nobody, I'm nothing, but you are of God. So you are incredibly powerful and more extraordinary than you could ever possibly know. Okay? And this is why these entities, they know it. Okay? They know you and how powerful you are before you know you. And so a lot of times they will carry throughout the bloodline to make sure that certain light beings, certain star seeds, certain light workers don't come into and actualize their full power. So this is not going to be just like a basic cleansing. Your Palo Santo, your sage, your crystals is not really going to get rid of this energy, okay? That's basically why I'm doing this video, because it's important to know that like some things need a bigger level of purification. And these energies, if you happen to be attached to one, sometimes too, we can get them from, and I talked about this in the first video, our partners, people that we're with. If their bloodline has a jinn, let's say, attached to it, and we are intimate with that person, that jinn can attach to us and start feeding off of our energy. Our energy is like a battery source, just like the Matrix, where you see Neo gets awakened and he sees all the babies basically being battery for the machine. That's kind of how our energy is for these higher level entities. We're loosh, we're a battery, we're a power source, and they feed off of us, okay? This is not to scare you, this is what we live in. This is what it is, okay? So say you are with someone, they have a jinn connect to them, or they've been practicing sort of dark arts, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, where they're doing sort of certain rituals and baneful magic and different things where they have invoked a darker entity, a higher level darker entity to them to work with them. The act of physical intimacy can bring that energy to you. All right. So, personal story. In 2017, I'll get into this in a separate video, but I had like my massive awakening catalyst moment. And before I was really clear about what was going on, I remember being in meditation, and I have one guardian angel that only speaks to me like audibly. I get clairaudient messages from this one guardian angel. And they said to me specifically, you need to uncompromise your life and purify yourself. And this is how. I was never a drinker, but I was told absolutely no alcohol, no drinking, no drugs of any kind. I didn't do drugs either, But, you know, sometimes I would have a drink socially, go out with friends, have a drink socially, blah, blah, blah. I was, though, dating at the time, and they were like, no physical intimacy. Like, they made it very clear that I could not fornicate. I'll say it that way. So, like, I have been celibate for 8 years now because of that, because of everything that took place that year and sort of what it did for my spiritual journey and like where I had to spiritually elevate. And so reason why I'm talking about this is because the only way that I know, well, two ways, okay? We're going to talk about the first though. If you believe that you have one of these higher level energy attachments in your life, and listen, you will know because your life will take a very dark turn, okay? Everything might be going great for you, and then everything just fucking falls apart. You'll also start getting more psychic attack. These energies, once they're recognized and identified, 1111, as I said that, they will try to attack you, and they will attack you through other people, other means. For me, it was gang stalking, it was being a targeted individual, it was smear campaigns against me, it was different things to sort of isolate me and get me in a very sort of vulnerable victimhood energy. But for different people, it's different things. Sometimes if you have unexpected health issues and like serious unexpected health issues that can't really be determined by medical testing, you're doing a lot of testing and yet you're still having these issues, and it's not part of ascension issues, dizzy spells, vomiting, being very sick, having to be hospitalized to the point where you're hospitalized, blood pressure spikes, like going very low where you're passing out, you're blacking out. That could be a sign. If it's not medically related, that could be a sign that one of these higher level energy attachments are on you, okay, and feeding off of you. Another thing is, you know, unexpected scrapes, cuts, bruises. You wake up and you're like covered in scratches, and like you don't have a cat or you don't have anything that would like specifically be like, okay, my dog slept in the bed with me and so I got scratched by my dog. Like it's unexplained. It could be one of these higher level energy attachments, energetic entity attachments, okay? Everything will just start going wrong, like relationships, family life, money, etc., etc. And you'll also notice that people are more angry towards you, more violent towards you, and purposely trying to put you in states of fear. That also could be a sign of one of these higher level, like dense entity attachments, okay? So going back to what I was saying, what my one of my guardian angels had told me about this time, I didn't know that. I knew that everything was changing. I knew that things didn't make any sense. And the guidance I was getting, other than like purify myself, uncompromise myself, like stop dating, do not have any intimacy with anyone, don't drink, don't do any drugs. They were really getting on me too, to like just be in prayer, be in meditation all the time. Like keep my energy as high and as balanced as possible. And the reason why, okay, so we're going to the first reason why is because, again, these entities feed off of your loosh. Your loosh is your fear, your trauma, your anger, your sexual energy, okay? Very, very important. Especially like lust and desire and obsession. Like it really, these things will feed off of that. And so it's sort of like a purification initiation. But if you feel like you're dealing with one of these entities, you have to uncompromise yourself. You have to purify. This was shown in the Bible with Jesus, where he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. So fasting, not drinking, not fornicating, not using any substances of any type, staying prayed up, meditating. It's not just using things outside of you like sage and Palo Santo and crystals. It is tapping into your God power. It is tapping into your God-like energy, because when you walk in the light, they cannot harm you. But you have to be in the light, like uncompromised in the light, okay? And it's not easy. It's not easy to go from having a social life and having friends to like having to hermit to protect your energy because you're dealing with one of these higher level entities. But it's kind of like they're giving me the movie Fallen. For those of you who have never seen the movie Fallen, Denzel Washington, John Goodman, they're police officers, and I'm getting chills just talking about it because that's the type of energy. The beginning of the movie is the serial killer that they're putting to death, but he's basically telling them like, you can't kill me, because he was already a demonic entity. It was just a demonic entity that was embodying that body and like acting out. But basically once he was put to death, was executed, he started being able to jump to other people by touch, okay? And so we as human beings are both light and dark. It is very, very important to understand that. We live in an earth realm, which is polarity. It is both light and dark. And so again, I'll say it, when you're walking in the light, it cannot harm you. When your vibration is so freaking high, where you have nothing compromising you, your thoughts aren't compromising you, your body isn't compromising you, your lifestyle isn't compromising you, you invoke and you sort of activate that God power, that like Christ consciousness, that light. And in that space, you are truly protected, and it can't jump to you. It can't overpower you. It can't influence you, because the thing with these beings too, where people need to take it more seriously, and this is why it's like, don't fuck with spells that you don't understand. Like everybody's fucking a witch now. I do not identify as a witch. I am a starseed, I am a light worker, I am a healer. I will never identify as a witch, because people don't fully understand what they're identifying with when they say that they're a witch, okay? There are good witches, of course. There's people who use that power for light, but there's also people who use it in very dark and harmful ways. And you just have to be so mindful and use real discernment when you are playing in these spiritual streets, because not everything's a fucking game and not everything's a joke, and what you don't know will kill you, and it will harm those around you that you love if you are not careful, okay? That's the best way I can say it. And so you have to purify yourself. You have to basically it's like dying to the flesh, dying to the earthly desires, dying to the earthly aspect of you, and becoming that divine aspect of you. Because these energies will and can very much influence your mind, your thoughts, and your emotions. That's what makes them so dangerous, because they do have a lot of power. And a lot of time you think those intrusive thoughts are you, or you think those like thoughts of self-harm or other thoughts are you, and they're not. They're these energies wanting to feed off of that in you, okay? Or wanting you to take yourself out, okay? So very, very important that if you feel like you're dealing with one of these really powerful entities, that you go through a purification initiation. Mine was not guided to fast at that time. I do fast now, because now let's get into the second part of this. Part of also what can attach these energies to you is if there's a lot of people or certain practitioners sending you baneful magic or doing heavy negative spell work on you. This is what prompted me to do this video, because this past weekend, 12/12 portal, I noticed it at 12/12, like I just kind of felt like a little bit spacey, like, but I just figured, okay, I didn't sleep good, whatever. As the day went on, I know when people are doing baneful magic towards me, a lot of dark work, sending it at me, because it literally physically makes me sick to my stomach. And where I screwed up is that I let my energy get lower, because it's the holidays. People have been sending like tons of chocolate and packages to work. We've all been eating like a ton of junk. And so I needed to not eat a lot of junk, but I was eating a lot of junk. And so I let my energy get lower. And how I know that some of this energy got sent to me is because I burned myself yesterday, okay? And then I scratched and scraped myself yesterday. I tripped and fell. Like, if I'm very clumsy, unnecessarily clumsy, tripping and falling out of nowhere for no reason, burning myself, scraping myself, I know that someone sent some shit to me. I also had crazy dreams the last couple of days. And so it's funny, I didn't listen to my guides about fasting yesterday, and they made me vomit. I was throwing up all last night, because they're like, you didn't listen, so we're gonna clear you out. We're gonna purify you. So I listened today. I was better today. And the energy is shifting. Like, I feel a lot better. I was starting to feel sick. I'm now like sweating, so I know like my energy is coming back. But I say that all to say is that if you have, there's a lot of warlocks, there's a lot of witches who are very well versed in dark arts. Voldemort is real. Like, may not be named Voldemort, but that energy and people who know how to use that energy in very harmful ways, that does exist. And those types of people are working with these types of beings, and so they can send stuff that attaches these types of beings to you. And so you just need to know, be aware of what it is, how it impacts you. I've dealt with it so much that I'm very much aware of myself and how it impacts me and how to clear it from myself. But that's why like fasting helps, because fasting purifies the body. Your body is a temple, and when you purify the body, you'll also purify the mind. Now, I fully understand that not everybody can fast, okay? And so what Spirit wanted me to say is, like, if you have a certain medical condition where you have to eat, or you're on certain medications where you have to eat, only eat life-affirming foods, meaning you want live food. You want fruits, you want vegetables that are life-affirming. You don't want to eat any meat. You don't want to eat anything that's dead. You don't want to eat anything that's dense. Dairy, you should stay away from because it causes inflammation. Sugar, you should stay away from because it acts like a drug in your system. And so it's like, if you want to purify and fast without like having to not eat any food at all, drink a shit ton of water, okay? But also make sure you're eating life-affirming foods, live foods, things that have life in them, still have a frequency of life in them. So fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, okay? And that can help with the purification process. Now, each person's purification process is going to be unique to them. For me, I don't need to fast for long periods of time, but I will intermittently fast. And what I mean by that is like, sometimes I won't fast for like 2 weeks, and then I'll have like a month where I fast like a day or two every month, like a day or two every week of that month. So again, I understand my body, I understand my frequency, I know my homeostasis energetically, I know what works for me, I know what doesn't. And part of this process is learning that about yourself, really knowing yourself to learn what works for you and what doesn't. Because not everybody needs 40 days and 40 nights, okay? Sometimes it can go quicker, again, depending on your frequency, your spiritual knowledge of yourself, and just listening to your own guidance. But if you feel like you are being attacked by any dark spell work or any of these negative higher level entity attachments, really tap in with your own guidance to ask, okay, how can I clear this in the most like effective and efficient way for me? And you will be given sort of the steps or given the guidance to go to this person or that person. So going back to point number 2, I do not recommend going to practitioners, because practitioners are practicers. They are practicers of magic. Not all practitioners are bad. There are amazing practitioners, and there are practitioners that work both in the light and dark realms, but do it with integrity. If you have a practitioner or your family does closed practices or does certain work and you feel safe and comfortable that they can help to clear this type of stuff from you, go ahead and do it. Use your discernment, go ahead and do it. But I don't recommend it because of this. Everything comes at an energetic cost. And so you need to know, if you're working with certain practitioners, what the energetic cost is going to be for you. Sometimes you don't know up front and you get the energetic bill on the back end, and it's not what you expected. So that's why I don't work with practitioners. However, okay, that being said, if you can find a shamanic healer that can clear this energy from you and show you how to clear it from yourself, I highly recommend that. Obviously, always use your discernment. But I highly recommend shamanic healers over practitioners. That's just me personally. You got to do you. It's your life, your free will, okay? And that is the other way that in which you can clear these higher level entity attachments from you, is working with a very skilled shamanic healer. Because shamanic healing is a little bit different than a practitioner. A practitioner, if you go to them, you say, hey, I want to clear this energy from my life. They might tell you to get a couple things. They might do a ritual for you, and then it's just kind of done. Shamanic healers usually will take you through a process in which you have to participate. So it's like, it's a co-creation of healing, not just you giving your power away to someone else to take it from you, which to me, the co-creative part of working with a shaman actually helps to heal. Okay? That's just my own personal opinion. You got to do you. So, a purification process or shamanic healer. Those are really the only ways that you're going to clear those types of heavy, demonic, lower, negative, polarized, extraterrestrial, reptilian, dark deity entities from you, from your life. You'll know that it worked, though, is that everything starts flowing. Again, when you're dealing with heavy spell work, a lot of baneful magic, and it's funny, I always know when it's being sent to me for two reasons. Number one, my guides will show me, like I'll have my eyes closed and I'll see people's faces that I've never seen before. They just pop up in my third eye and I'm like, okay, I understand what you mean by that. I understand why you're showing me this. And number two, I get an influx of about 10 followers on my YouTube. That's why I'm doing this video on YouTube, because I see you and I'm aware of you, all right? And I'm good, thanks. But I get an influx of followers, and I believe that's because they want to see if what they sent to me worked. So again, you just have to know how that energy impacts you, what works for you, what your strengths are. Listen to your guidance. Purify your energy. If certain people around you make you feel uncomfortable, keep your distance from them. These energies walk amongst us, and they're just as real as you and me and everything else in this realm. So to be forewarned is to be forearmed. You do have great power. When you walk fully in the light, they cannot harm you. But you can not allow yourself to be compromised. And that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part, is because, again, we are both human, we are spiritual beings, we are human beings. You know, it's natural to want to do human things. Like, it's natural for me to want to eat all these wonderful chocolates that are being sent to my job. But if it's lowering my energy, I gotta put limits on that, right? So it's just important for you to know what you're dealing with, that you have power to cleanse and clear. But again, it's a process. It's a process. Keep your prayers up. Book of Psalms, highly recommend, especially if you're dealing with heavy negative attacks. And just walk in the light. Stay as high vibe as you can. And just really practice forgiveness, compassion for yourself, compassion for others. Pray and ask for grace. And pray and ask for, if there's any lessons that you need to learn from the experience, that you're given the clarity of the lesson in the most graceful and easy way possible, so that it can be cleared from your life. Because the thing too is, like, if you're dealing with these energies, there's always some sort of higher purpose for it, okay? And so when you can look at that higher perspective and find the higher purpose from it, you also can take your power back from feeling like you are helpless or you are a victim to these lower vibrational energies. I hope this message helped. Sending everyone so much love. Take care.